So I always appreciate reading a good violation.
Ooh, now wait a minute. You don't mean a violation like a personal relationship violation.
No.
You mean what type of violation?
Real estate violation.
You mean a real estate licensee who has broken the law?
Yeah, like a bad thing.
Where do you find that information? And so how does a complaint get filed? A consumer files a complaint against a licensee in Texas and in Georgia. There's places to do it. I think you could do it online.
You can. And a licensee can file a violation against another licensee.
Oh.
Anyone can file a complaint. It starts as a complaint. It doesn't become a violation until really they're found guilty. Or found in the wrong is probably a better way to say it.
Yeah, I love that. So we'll call that real estate commission violation.
A real estate commission violation. And I've never Googled it in Georgia, but in Texas, the commission makes it public knowledge.
Oh, I'm sure that it has to be that way in Georgia, meaning you got to keep it where citizens can, or potential home sellers and buyers can figure out if there's complaints filed against their agent.
Right. And the reason these are important to talk about is, well, they teach us so much, right? We're all in this business together.
Well,
and
in some cases, Tammy, they're not teaching me anything because it is freaking common sense that people should not do some of the things they're doing.
It does teach.
Don't you agree with that, though?
No,
that it's
I do agree with that. But some of the violations I read, I go, you know what? I could see how that could happen. I could totally see how that could happen. Sometimes you get too close to clients that you become lax. And in certain, operations or in handling like this one I'm about to tell you about, it's so simple. It should never have gotten there.
All right.
You
jump
ready?
into it. Now, you say, when you're talking to one of my daughters and they say, I met somebody new, or I have this, or I have that, you say, spill the tea, spill the tea, spill the tea. So I'm going to say to you, spill the tea, Tammy.
Okay. So buyer agent. So this is an agent, not a broker, but a buyer agent was representing some friends. Couple of buyers, buyer A, buyer B. And they went under contract. I'm going to make up dates on July 1st.
Okay.
Negotiated successful contract. They were under a contingency for a buyer approval, for the buyer to get financing approved by July 15th.
Okay.
The buyer.
So 15 days.
15 days.
Okay.
Buyer never got approved.
Problem.
Right. The buyer told the buyer's agent, I'm going to try a new lender. I think, we can get this fixed. It had something to do with income. We're going to get this fixed. We're going to get this fixed.
Yep.
They get closer.
Which they have every right to do.
They have every right to do. Can you guess what the buyer agent didn't do?
Didn't tell the other agent what was happening.
Right. And didn't extend the buyer.
Didn't extend the contingency period for doing it. So
the
buyer admitted to the agent, the buyer's agent, I'm having trouble with financing. I'm going to have to get with another lender, which should have triggered an extension of that time frame for doing that.
Yes.
Or it could have included just all the contingencies being removed and the buyers just got to do the best they can, but nobody else in the transaction knew what was happening.
Well, they knew. So the
the seller.
Unless this listing agent told them, which I don't know that part of the story.
Okay.
But the buyer agent communicated to the listing agent that they were going to try a new lender and it may extend closing.
Yep.
Right. Well, closing date comes and the buyer cannot close. They don't have financing.
They can't get it.
And so that created conflict between the seller and the buyer over what to do with earnest money. Who gets the earnest money? Well, the buyers felt like they deserved the earnest. Like
they felt like it was still contingent on them getting their loan.
They were very they were honest. They were truthful, but their agent did not. And the listing agent, not the listing agent's
Their agent did not extend the contingency period, even though everybody was informed of what's going on.
Knew it.
So I didn't understand that a few minutes ago. I thought that maybe the sellers did not know, but they did know.
Everybody knew.
But the buyer's agent didn't tell the buyer, hey, look, just so you know, when we get to the 15th, your right to keep looking for financing, it goes away. And so we can either extend it or you can run the risk of being in default if you can't close and losing your earnest money.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how did this happen? Now, of course, This agent was found in the wrong, slapped on the wrist by, slapped on the hand by the commission, had to pay a fine, had to make up the earnest money because
they had to pay it.
The agent had to pay the earnest money.
And I'm going to be honest with you. That is appropriate.
Oh, for sure.
That is appropriate.
For sure. But let's get back to how did it happen?
Yep.
And it was the buyer agent was friends with the buyer and totally trusted that they knew what they were doing and they were going to get financing. Didn't even doubt that they couldn't get financing. They were good friends. They were like, okay, you're on it. You're on it.
I know you. You're good.
You're good. And
they weren't.
And they weren't good. They weren't good. And so the buyer agent and the listing agent side of things, the listing agent, not the listing agent's responsibility to protect the buyer.
Right.
The listing agent's responsibility is to protect the seller. So give the seller a heads up. Hey, they may not make it, but why would we extend it? Mm-hmm. Why would we try to protect the buyer?
Why would you? Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, it might have made more sense to the seller to say, no, we're not going to extend it past that.
Right.
And that forces the buyer to either put up or shut up. So interesting. First time we've ever talked about a real estate commission complaint.
Absolutely.